I don't know that the government currently has fiscal anchors.
I guess I want to get right to some of the questions that we have based on the reports that have been released to date. Would you agree that with a clear definition of what counts as operating spending, it's impossible to evaluate whether the government is on track to meet its fiscal anchors?
I would say officially, we're within the office. I don't know that the government currently has fiscal anchors, which of course causes the people that I work with a considerable degree of concern at this point. As everyone knows, the government did have fiscal anchors. The previous Minister of Finance had the fiscal anchor of a ceiling of the annual deficit at 1% of GDP, along with a declining debt to GDP ratio. It's unclear where those stand. They haven't been reiterated by the current government, to the best of my knowledge. With respect to your point regarding the capital and the operating side, we haven't seen a clear definition of what would fall into capital and what would fall into operating. So at this point, it's impossible for us and for you as parliamentarians to assess the likelihood or probability of the government hitting any fiscal target.
Thank you very much. So do you have any idea of when the government will give a concrete definition of its spending criteria, what its fiscal anchors may be, so that you can do the very important work of monitoring the government's spending plans?
The short answer is no. There's a longer answer I can give to you if you have more time, but the longer answer is we're waiting for budget 2025 at this point. So traditionally what happens is all is revealed in a 400 to 500 page document. And at that point, we will have a clear sense of precisely what the fiscal anchors are. And if the fiscal anchor continues to be balancing an operating budget, hopefully at that point, there will be a definition of what that operating budget actually means.
So this seems to be the buzzword now for the new session of Parliament, fiscal anchors, which of course is a completely foreign concept to Mark Carney because he's got two books. He's got the real budget and the operating budget. This is called cooking the books, where you have two sets of books. So you can pretend we're not really operating at this kind of a deficit level. The national debt's not rising incrementally or in vast stages. We're going to have two budgets, so nobody kind of notices, And that, of course, is unclear if the federal government still has fiscal anchors, says the parliamentary budgetary officer, who's Mr. Jacques, who was just on there explaining that. Now, I want to show you how this has reverberated in the financial community, because it's quite something. Have a look at this letter this is shall we say, a group of energy producers, Canadian Natural, Build Canada Now, an open letter to the Prime Minister of Canada. That would be Mark Carney. So 6 months have passed since the first Build Canada Now letter was sent to you, and the leaders of Canada's other political parties outlining an action plan to unlock Canada's world-class oil and natural gas resources to strengthen Canada's economic sovereignty, resilience, and prosperity. After the election, we followed up with a second letter expressing our support for our shared vision of Canada becoming an energy superpower, ... Since then, we have seen progress, but it is insufficient to stimulate the investment and growth required to make this vision a reality. Third paragraph. However, Canada still lacks the clear, competitive, and durable fiscal and regulatory policies required to achieve the so-called grand bargain. Our call to action is urgent. 4 paragraphs. To reiterate, we believe, next paragraph, we believe that your government must focus on the following: significantly simplify regulations, shorten timelines for project approvals, commit to grow production, not limit it, fiscal framework that attracts investment, incent Indigenous investment opportunities. That sounds exactly what the Conservative platform is, actually. Here's who signed this: Brandon L. Anderson, President and CEO, North River Midstream Incorporated; Terry Anderson, President and Chief Executive Officer, ARC Resources Limited. Doug Bortall, President and CEO, In Play Oil Corporation. And the list goes on, and you can on and on and on. So there's a sense, I think, here, not only dissatisfaction with Mark Carney's tardiness and indolence at times, but a satisfaction with what Pierre Poilievre is proposing on the conservative side. So I find this well worth noting, and which is the reason I did it. Now let's go through some of Chrystia Freeland's shining hours here. And Chrystia Freeland is somebody we all love to dislike. I'm not going to say hate, because we shouldn't hate anybody, especially after what happened last week in Utah. We should not hate anybody, but it's not easy to like Chrystia Freeland. Not just because of her policies, but she's grating. She has the most annoying personality with that teacher voice, that voice that...
The alternative is really cold and cruel and small.
That voice that suggests I'm the only one in the room who knows anything. Why am I surrounded by these simpletons? And by the way, Francois-Philippe Champagne, our finance minister, says no budget till November 4th now. Do you suppose they might actually wait till December? It's happened before. That's what happened to Joe Clark's minority government in 1979. It fell because they had a pre-Christmas budget. John Crosbie, I remember this very well, the finance minister of the day, strode into the House of Commons wearing mukluks because, of course, it was mid-December. Joe Clark introduces a budget, and it has I think it was a 17-cent surcharge on gas. Of course, when gas was still sold by the gallon, and 17 cents a gallon surcharge, and it was less than $1 a gallon at the time. So Joe Clark government was defeated over that budget. And what do you bet they stall until December here? Yes, isn't that touching? And of course we know that Mark Carney's the godfather of Chrystia Freeland's children, and it's just touching to see the two of them together, such political cronies. Oh, it's just lovely. And here's Mark Carney's statement saying that, isn't she lucky? This is her dream job. As she takes the decision to step down from the ministry, I would like to thank Chrystia Freeland for her extraordinary service in the cabinet of Canada's federal government over the past decade. This is a little hard to read. Christia's versatility, raw intelligence, and principled leadership have served Canadians with a distinction through extraordinary challenges and changes. Her leadership has helped to secure historic trade negotiations to guide oh my goodness, I can't to guide the response to a global pandemic. Yeah. What did she do about that global pandemic? Oh, just a minute here, folks. I've got it here. What did she do about that global pandemic?
So you're confirming that accounts have been frozen, both personal and corporate, but you're not releasing the information. And
Thank you for sharing this station with your friends and family. Thank you for hitting that like button, because I tell you, we are fighting back in a way I've never had to before, because I am going to keep this station on the air. I am going to keep fighting for freedom. I'm going to keep fighting for justice and truth, because that's all I have left. And I am damn determined to resist this Carney government in any way possible, as it encroaches upon our individual freedom. And it will continue to do that, mark my words. And that's why we're here today. I'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place, 10 a.m. This has been David Kraydon, broadcasting live from our nation's capital in Ottawa. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow.
You can't handle the truth.
Resolve to resist